Hi, welcome to Dito Speaks. We are talking about Roger Dubuis today. All the people who love watches, who listen to me, I'm sure you have heard about this brand in some reference. Mr. Roger Dubuis is known to be one of the best watchmakers to have ever been in this trade. He started his career with Longines in after-sales service, and by the way, some of the biggest watchmakers who are a force to reckon with today, Mr. F.P. Journe and many more, they actually started their career in after-sales service. It's an interesting factotum. After Longines, Mr. Roger Dubuis moved to Patek Philippe, where he spent 20 years developing interesting complications. 2 decades is a long time. That was the era when Patek Philippe really scaled the heights and actually perched itself at the helm of the Holy Trinity. In 1995, Mr. Roger Dubuis launched his namesake brand, Roger Dubuis. Obviously, he needed to develop new movements. He was not going to be happy with only outsourced movements. So yes, they used certain modules which are outsourced, but on top of that, they would build modules like the perpetual calendar and so on and so forth. Their sympathy and homage lines are to die for, because these were in limited production, and in today's time, these watches are not very easy to come by. Obviously, the homage line actually is very similar to the Patek Philippe 5070, if I'm not wrong, but the thing remains, these are very unique pieces aesthetically and technically. Very, very sound, very, very attractive. In the watch circles, the Roger Dubuis watches from the 1995 era to up to 2000, 2002, 2003 are revered. We love these watches. If I get my hands on it, I have the right kind of money, I'm definitely going to get my hands on an homage watch which has a blue dial, cobalt blue dial in rose gold. Just think of it. Coming to the brand today, Roger Dubuis is owned by the Richemont Group. And within the Richemont Group, Roger Dubuis is one of the haute horlogerie makers. But the brand has gone through major transformations after the acquisition. See, the thing is, a conglomerate will always assign a certain place to different brands. LVMH has so many brands, like 10, 80 plus, 90 plus brands. Every brand is in a certain segment. Similarly for Richemont, many watch brands, but every brand is in a certain segment. For example, Vacheron Constantin. Now, Vacheron is right there. It's a part of the Holy Trinity. It serves a certain purpose, but at the same time, if a group wants a watch brand to take the position of a pathbreaker, that's what Roger Dubuis is for the Richemont Group. The watch design language has changed completely from the 1995 to 2000 plus era. It has become a hyper watch of sorts. I'm pretty sure the moment I say hyper watch, certain images come to your mind: MB&F, Richard Mille, etc. Roger Dubuis is somewhat similar. Their skeleton dials are amazing. I've seen those things in my hand, and I'm telling you, I cannot express what kind of delight I felt when I look at these watches on my hand. The other important fact is that in today's time, there are only few watch brands who are awarded the Geneva seal. Now, Geneva seal is a very stringent set of rules that the watch manufacturer has to abide by. There are 16 rules. These are basically standards of production and how the end product should be like. There are only 4 brands: Vacheron Constantin, Roger Dubuis, a few watches of LVMH, and LU Chopard. Other watch brands say that, look, we will not get into that. We don't want Geneva seal because it's just too stringent. Like, for example, I'm wearing a Cartier. They make a lot of watches, but I don't think they have the aspiration of going the Geneva seal way, because obviously, if you have to adhere to so many standards which are very, very stringent, the number of watches you can produce will always be limited. Roger Dubuis, I don't think, makes more than 2,000, 2,300, 3,000 watches in a year. Watches are really priced up there. So that's a very distinctive piece. Patek Philippe used to have Geneva seal. They have said that, look, we don't want to abide by those standards, and they have developed their own standards parallel to the the Consort de Geneva. Patek Philippe is Patek Philippe, of course. About Roger Dubuis, recently I had an opportunity to be at their manufacturer in Geneva. They were very kind to invite me. I met the CEO David Chaumet. I had a very good chat with their top people in marketing and manufacturing, and had the opportunity to look at every process in close detail. I spent almost 4 hours at the manufacturer, and some of the highlights. They do everything from the scratch, right? So they will make their own hands, they'll make their own gears, they make their own obviously the cases and every component that goes into the watchmaking. Now I had the opportunity to look at the where the store where every material is kept. When I talk about materials, did you know that they have a pact with Lamborghini, where if Lamborghini develops a new material, which could be a composite, a polymer, a new kind of plastic, they will give it to Roger Dubuis, and so that Roger Dubuis can also experiment with it in their watches. And there's a reason why Roger Dubuis releases watches which are in line with some of the models of Lamborghini as a car company. So that's that about Roger Dubuis' closeness with Lamborghini. I had the opportunity to look at the dials being made, how the dials are cut, beautiful processes. And then the thing that really fascinated me was the stations where every component is decorated. Now when I say every component is decorated, hear this out. The picture that you see, it's like there are multiple facets on this component. It's like a wheel with the 3 kind of pillars, and there are edges, there are internal edges, and then there is surface. Do you know that every surface is obviously decorated, it's polished, and that polish is done manually, and then every edge is also polished. And by the way, if the watchmaker makes a mistake where they polish it in the opposite direction, immediately the component has to be rejected, because such is the standard set by Consort de Geneva. Now from here I had the opportunity to look at the process of making gears, very small components, where I had to look at the teeth, let's say 100 plus teeth in a very small gear. I had to look at it with a microscope. There's a very high caliber watchmaker who's doing this with his hands. Obviously there's a lot of machining, but it is done by people. Roger Dubuis is known to make hyper watches, quad tourbillons, double tourbillons, calendars, and so on and so forth. There is no dearth of the skill of watchmaking. There's no dearth of complications. There's no dearth of the new language, aesthetic language they have created. Obviously, it's a departure from the design ethos of the erstwhile Roger Dubuis identity, but this design identity is very appealing. I really get pulled towards it. Now let's ask the bigger question. Would you want to buy it? If it is up to me, I really would love to buy it. The pricing is definitely up there. Like, so for example, a basic rose gold skeleton watch will set me back by almost 90 to 100,000 US dollars. So that's a lot of money. What can you get in that kind of money? You can probably get Audemars Piguet, you can get some Vacheron Constant, you can get if you're lucky, you can probably get an FP Journe as well. But it does not mean that Roger Dubuis is any less. The only thing it means is that it's a very niche offering, and you need to have had a certain journey in your watch collecting, after which you arrive and say, look, this is the brand that I want to look at. I really get pulled towards it. And even a brand like that, which makes fewer pieces, 2,000 plus pieces, they are looking for people who love watches for what they are, and not buying watches as an investment. If you want to buy a watch as an investment, obviously you have to go to a Rolex or a Patek Philippe Nautilus, which is getting a lot of flack for the new release of Cubitus. You can see my video that I've released. But coming back to Roger Dubuis, if you want to buy this watch brand as an investment, please don't, because in the secondary market it takes a lot of beating. If you want to buy it for aesthetic value, the quality of engineering that is done, the quality of watchmaking that goes into it, then Roger Dubuis is definitely for you. And my guess is that you will not be disappointed with the kind of work that is being done. The watch wears very big, because these are big watches. These are 42 mm, at least 42 mm dial cases, and then the lugs are pretty big as well. So it wears big on your wrist. You need to have a big wrist, at least 6.75 to 7 inch kind of wrist, and that's when it really adorns your wrist and enhances your personality. All of that said, I still like the idea of the previous era Roger Dubuis. Those are also beautiful watches, more classical looking, right? And yeah, that doesn't take away from the current editions of Roger Dubuis Excaliburs. Those are amazing too. And in the future, I'm definitely going to have a skeleton Excalibur rose gold in my collection. It's definitely coming. So that was that on Roger Dubuis. I had a great time at the manufacturer, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video on Roger Dubuis. It adds to your knowledge repertoire. And please stay connected, subscribe to the channel, so that I have the incentive to come up with interesting stories from the world of watches. Thanks a lot for watching. Ethos Speaks. Bye bye.